What's going on, guys? Money Webby here, checking back in week 4 with giving you an update and a few of my favorite plays on the slate here. Very excited about it. Ready for it to be Sunday, but I'm going to give you a quick preview. Some things obviously can change between now and Sunday, but I do my articles on Wednesday mornings. That's when they get uploaded. So things definitely change over the following days after that I record that, and there's still like a lot of injuries that seem 50-50. That's really going to change the slate. Michael Thomas being a big one because Kamara gets a big boost when he's out. Just a ton of receptions coming his way. But yeah, so hope you guys are excited for this week. Go ahead and drop a like on the video. If you're watching on YouTube right now, it really helps us out with the algorithm, as likes, those impressions kind of put our videos higher up on the feed. So thank you if you could do that. And also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, go and hit that subscribe button so you can continue to get these videos. They'll drop right in your feed and you won't miss out on them. So let's hop right into it. Let's not waste any time with a few of my guys. My first guy that I love his value is too hard to pass up. You can just fill out lineups so much easier. I think he's going to be pretty chalky for people that want to pay up at running back because the top end running backs just offer obviously so much more upside, and then a few of them like Kamara if Thomas is out, Zeke in a high scoring matchup again, and Dalvin Cook in a good spot are obviously all have intrigue to them. So Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you just lock him in at 5,400, there's so many different ways you can go wide receiver and running back. You can pay up at tight end. You can even pay up at defense. You can get a lot more creative with your builds. It's just a lot easier, so you can pretty much fit anyone in you want for the most part. So a good matchup here against Seattle. I consider them a pass funnel defense because how good their run defense has been. They shut down a very solid Patriots running attack. They have one of the best run blocking offensive lines. They have Cam Newton as a rushing threat, so you've got to account for him. Patriots really couldn't get anything going. They had pretty much abandoned the run game. Their game script did kind of fall into a more pass attack approach, but whenever the game was close, the Patriots still couldn't really get anything going. They were pretty much beat at the point of attack in that game. And also against the Cowboys, who have one of the better offensive lines as well. Ezekiel Elliott couldn't get anything going. I believe his final line was around 11 for 18. I want to say something not very pretty. And I just can't imagine a Dolphins running offense that isn't great themselves to be able to get anything going. So I think they're going to have to go a lot more pass heavy here. Fitzpatrick was extremely efficient last week. Despite only throwing the ball 20 times, he ended up with 25 DraftKings points. So that kind of shows how much upside he can have. Scott Barrett also pointed out that Fitzpatrick, I believe dating back to week 12, he's been the number one DraftKings points scoring quarterback. So he's on a real big heater here. I think he's going to keep it going. Another high scoring affair against top 5, if not the best offense in the NFL right now, in the Seahawks. I think they'll be able to get going again here, and it's going to turn into a more pass heavy, come from behind type approach. It's a better game script for the Dolphins and Fitzpatrick, and they offer just a very cheap ability to get a good stacking offense that's very stackable, I think, with Devontae Parker. Preston Williams has kind of fallen out of favor a little bit coming off the ACL injury. He's not seeing the same consistency of targets and just snaps as he did last year before he got hurt. Isaiah Ford taking a little bit from him. So I think there's a higher concentration of just potential upside when you stack up a guy like Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki with Fitzpatrick. So that's one way I'm approaching the slate as a potential stack. And then for running back, like I said, Kamara, Zeke, Dalvin Cook, I think one of those guys are going to be in the winning lineups. I personally think that Dalvin Cook, just based on the projected ownership, if you get a bad, just kind of a regression type game from Kamara, I mean, the guy's been insane after the catch, just a ton of yak. If he just can have a down-to-earth type game, then he could be a good fade. And Zeke hasn't looked that great. The offensive line has struggled. So I think Dalvin Cook, just leverage-wise, I think he gives you the best opportunity to win this week. So if you want to pay up, go with him. I think Joe Mixon also very good, just cost saving running back here at 5,800 going against a Jacksonville team that has been decent at run defense, but over the last year or so, a bigger sample, they're not very good. This is a team that really gutted out their whole defense. So I think they're performing above average right now, or above expectation, I would say. I think the Bengals are really going to try to get Mixon going here. He has had another slow start to the season, but this isn't something we haven't seen before. He had a terrible start to last year, and he really started picking it up towards the middle of the season. So I think this is a get-right type of game for him. Last week when they actually had a better game script for him, he had over 70% of the snaps. He has 52 out of the 54 potential team carries, so really elite carry share. Obviously, we want to see some more receptions from him, but I think just with them being in a better game script, he'll be on the field more often, which can lend him just the ability to see a few more targets. The Bengals are pretty pass-heavy. But with them not having to abandon the threat of the run, I think Mixon will just be able to potentially find himself into more opportunities, maybe a screen to him. He'll probably see a few more third down looks. Maybe they'll be in more third and manageable compared to like a 3rd and 12, what they'd put Gio Bernard in. So I think Mixon can get over 20 touches, should be much more efficient, and he'll be the goal line back for this offense in a game where they should have some scoring opportunities. So I think he's a really good pick. I'll put him in this build here just so you can see how it goes. And also, should I throw in? I don't know if I should throw in Dalvin Cook. I guess I'll just throw in Dalvin Cook so you can see kind of what I would kind of want to do on a DraftKings lineup right now. And for a wide receiver that I also mentioned in my first look article, got even more of a helping hand with the injury. Type him in here. To the injury to Marshawn Lattimore, and he is questionable. I would assume that Lattimore plays, but obviously it could change into kickoff on Sunday. I haven't seen the last updated news on him, so hopefully as I'm recording this, he doesn't get ruled out or anything like that, but I like him either way, honestly, if Lattimore plays or he doesn't play, because Lattimore hasn't been that good this year. He had a solid game Week 1 against Mike Evans, but he's also, he's always had an advantage over Mike Evans. I think it's just a matchup type thing where he can kind of hold his own against a Mike Evans type receiver who doesn't create a crazy amount of separation. He's not really known for his route running. He's more of a physical type guy that can really almost play as a basketball player and kind of box you out and use his kind of just awareness of the field. I think Kenny Golladay offers more separation ability, a little bit more athletic speed-wise. So I think Golladay, with another week removed from his injury, he should be a little bit more fresh here, closer to 100%. I think he'll be able to run more routes. His routes run last week weren't that crazy enough where you feel like 100% confident in him. But I think just this game environment, I think this is another game here that can hit over 50 points. Another pass funnel defense. Saints have a top-notch run defense, and they've been running out AP there as like the future running back. Typically as the year goes on, it's been kind of a trend, obviously kind of a narrative, but it's also been a trend with Adrian Peterson over the last few years. He's been starting seasons off strong, but as the year goes on, he just gets less and less efficient because obviously he's an older back. And I think the Lions are going to have to ditch the run game, rely more on Stafford in this passing attack, and they should have more success. So I think Kenny Golladay is a pick. Obviously, honestly, I want Lattimore to play just because we can get a lower ownership on Golladay, and less people will just kind of flock right to Golladay when Lattimore is ruled out. So that's kind of a top wide receiver that I really want to pay up for. I think he's obviously mispriced though at $6,000. When I say top wide receiver, I think he should be a top wide receiver salary wise on this slate. Then Odell Beckham Jr. It's been just a disaster, honestly, overall for Odell for his career, or his last year and a half almost on the Browns. Fought through that injury last year. They're very run heavy this year again, so nothing week to week you can really see that great from him. But when they're forced to pass, he's going to see the targets. He saw them week 1. The air yards numbers were very good. He had 10 targets, some deeper targets, and just didn't work out. The Ravens do have one of the better man defenses, so they really can get in like they can match up better with Odell. Odell Beckham is a type of receiver that against weaker cornerbacks that can't match up with him, he can really feast. We saw that with the Giants. He did struggle in some matchups against top-tier cornerbacks when he was given that week-to-week better floor and ceiling with the targets. But in this matchup, I don't see how he doesn't get open. It really comes down to if Baker Mayfield can make the throws to him, which I think he'll be able to do a better job of this week against the Dallas Cowboys. A perfect game environment, as I've been mentioning all year long. The Cowboys run at the fastest pace, and it's not even that close, honestly. They're running at like over 3 seconds per snap faster than the rest of the league. So Odell Beckham, he's seen the most deep targets on this team. I think he's a really good option. The Seahawks got over 140 yards on deep targets, which are 20-plus yards on the field targets. So I think that is a perfect core there. And then I'll throw in Mike Gesicki. So everything I was mentioning with the Dolphins, if you stack him up there with Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think he's the top red zone target for that offense. So he has the most touchdown upside. And then you can throw in Devontae Parker as well. But that's just kind of a quick look at how I'm looking at this slate. Be sure to head over to the Fantasy Points site, though, to get some even better content that we have already written up there. We got the top week 4 DFS values written up in article form, but you also can, if you're not an article type guy, you can go over to the DFS supermodel, and it just shows you the top values there. It shows their salary compared to their expected salary based on the model projections. We also have some showdown content. We have the Thursday Night Football, and we'll have the one going up for Sunday Night Football. We got wide receiver cornerback matchups. So if you're not seeing exactly who has the best matchup, just based on whether it's like man or zone coverage, some wide receivers do better against man versus zone. Some cornerbacks are just trending in the wrong direction that you might not realize how poorly they've been playing. So that's a really good update to see every single week. Some week 3 lessons learned looking back to the past week. And we also have some more articles coming up, like the contrarian approach from Graham Barfield. We also just had the podcast yesterday that happens every Thursday night where they will go game by game, just talking about like literally every possible angle you can attack the slate. So that's a really good, informative way to kind of continue to add more to your research throughout the week. And obviously the other tools we have there, ownership projections, which is obviously very big to look at, so you can understand if you're not realizing how owned someone is and you're on them. Even if they go off, you're not going to get that big an advantage. Obviously, it helps to have someone go off, but yeah, and expected fantasy points, another big one that I really like to look at, to target some guys that are overperforming, underperforming, try to catch them at the right time based on their salary, touches, yards created, everything you want here at Fantasy Points. So come over to the site, give us a chance, go check us out. You guys will love it and won't regret it. So hope you enjoyed it. I wish you guys the best of luck on this week 4 slate. And drop a like in the video if you didn't before you head out. Subscribe to the channel because you're missing out. We'll see you again next time. See you later, guys.